Welcome to the NFL show on the Sauter on Sports Podcast Network. I'm Mark Sauter. He is Joe. Good to be back. My apologies for being so late from our usual time. Computer issues on my end, but we are here and we are back. And I gotta tell you, Joe, straight up, I was punching in the details for today's show, the title. And last week, I guess I had a week 6. Last week was my title, and today's week 8. So either I blacked out for a week or I just have no idea what. It's just moving by so fast. But here we are. Lots to get to from the week that was. And of course, we will line you up for our favorite bets for week number 8. Before we get into all of that, I'd like to remind everybody that this show is brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now, promo code SPORTS10, up to 60% off selected cards across the First Round Collectibles store, including 10% off of every card in the First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off. Promo code SPORTS10, get up to 60% off selected cards and 10% off regular price and sales price items. That's firstroundcollectibles.com. Promo code SPORTS10. And as always, Total Apex Sports and Total Apex Media. Basketball started yesterday. Again tonight, opening week. Hockey is, I guess, in full swing now. World Series around the corner. Lots and lots to get to. Football, obviously. Anything that you want to know in the sports world, Total Apex Sports have you covered. They have another website: health, fitness, lifestyle, gaming, TV shows, pop culture, you name it, they got it. Total Apex Sports and Total Apex Media. Joe, how we doing on a Wednesday, man?
I'd feel a little bit better had my had my team not so heinously dropped the ball this weekend. But
Yeah,
we're gonna take the positives with the negatives, and the positive is I think we got a guy at QB, so that's one less thing to worry about when we go into the off season.
yeah, that's a tough. I mean, we're gonna get to it, man. That's a tough way to go. But I mean, in the pantheon of Giants' insane losses, where does that rank for you? Because there was one in the late 80s, of course, the miracle at the Meadowlands. I believe there's 2 parts to that, is there not? And then this one, not trying to rub salt in the wound, but there's been some pretty insane comebacks by the opposition, no? In Giants history?
I think the one that I'm most upset about is punting it to Deshaun Jackson. I don't know on what planet that was the way to go. Coach said that was the way not to go. That was the game plan. He decided not to abide by the game plan, kicks it right to him, and he had a reservation for 6. So that's probably the worst that I felt about it. Everything else I've just, kind of taken in stride, whether it's, us trying to find the guy at quarterback, Eli's lumps at the beginning, the complete mishandling of our roster by 2 GMs consecutively. I pretty much handled that in stride, I'd say. Now, I'm not going to say that this isn't right up there because 33 points in the fourth quarter is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. But as far as how this team is currently constructed and who's coaching it, I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Absolutely. Well, we're going to get into it and lots to get to from week 7. Just before I forget, get this out of the way. We were going to do a basketball show season preview. That's going to be pushed till some point next week. I know it's a week late, but we're going to do an NBA show. And then when the World Series is over, we will go all in on the NBA. I mean, listen, man, I just can't do 4 sports a week right now. I gotta just,
so many hours in the day.
when, when the World Series is over, we'll be doing more NBA and NHL content. But World Series preview, Tom is back with me tomorrow night, 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock rather. My apologies. How about those Blue Jays? Go Blue Jays! Pulled it off. Incredible moment. Incredible season, just out of nowhere. The head office will tell you that they knew this was going to happen. And in fact, they did tell us that, and we don't believe a word they say, but we're here. And it's exciting times in the city of Toronto. Yeah, looking forward to that. So tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Yeah, you know what, Jordan, on this pump out that content, I'm doing the best I can. I will say, after a year or so of nagging from my wife, I am officially a TikToker, Joe. I am a TikTok
good for you.
Influencer? Is that what they say? I don't know.
Well, influencers are selling things. You're
not selling.
You're just a standard issue TikToker, you know.
Selling a lot of things.
You're a content creator, put it that way. There you go. Content creation.
Like a cow pumping milk out. You're very poetic, Jordan. Very, very poetic. All right, let's get into it. Week 7. I mean, Joe, where do we start, man? I mean, all right. Let me just pull this up here, because why wouldn't it not be pulled up? All right. So first of all, you have Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. You know what? That Thursday night was incredible. You had Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers facing off, and Max Scherzer on the mound for Toronto. It was like the 40-somethings getting together and having themselves a night, and they all played well. They all played well. They all put up big numbers. It was a funny night that way. Pittsburgh choking away a loss to the Bengals. The Rams in London, Jacksonville just didn't show up for this game. 5 touchdowns for Stafford, less than 200 yards. If I wasn't out on Trevor Lawrence before, which I was, I'm definitely out now. You have Miami just continuing the season from hell. How that guy, unless I missed something, how McDaniel has not been fired yet is beyond me. Maybe you have some answers for me on that one. The Chiefs, similar to the Patriots, although it's a much different situation, but the Chiefs blank a Raiders team. And at first glance, it's easy to say the Chiefs are back, but it's the Raiders and they suck. Then you have Philly, the offense coming back, finally throwing the football to their 2 best receivers. Then you have the Patriots, where I've been really encouraged just with their rise. And I don't mean rise as in like rise, like there's some like juggernaut. I just mean week after week, they're just getting better. And they're proving to us that they are a playoff team. The fact that for them to win the division is like plus 155 or something, those odds seem really short, and I'm very curious by that. I know they play the Browns, the Browns and another not good team in the next couple of weeks. The Saints?
They got the Jets in 4 weeks.
The Jets. So that's that. Then you have, yes, the debacle, the Denver, New York debacle. The Colts offense is just a machine right now. Um, Green Bay wins another not convincing game, just ho hum. They're winning, but not convincingly. The Cowboys, as much as it pains me to say this, are a really fun team to watch, regardless of the outcome. Win or lose, this team, they're just fun to watch. San Francisco, I know that the Falcons put up a really impressive win against the Bills. But they just proved to be whatever. The 49ers, through all the injuries, find a way to get the job done. Detroit beats Tampa Bay. I think the injuries just finally caught up to Tampa Bay. I'm not overly worried about it. And Seattle just keeps winning, man. And Houston keeps on not winning. And so, yeah, it's just an absolutely jam-packed weekend. I don't know, Joe, where do you want to start?
Listen, we gotta stop putting these 10:30 games on Monday nights. I don't know on what planet you think that someone's gonna be staying up till 1 o'clock on the Eastern time zone to watch football. Um, and thankfully, the Seahawks put it so far in doubt already in the first quarter that I was fine to not watch it from that point forward, even though the margin of victory looks much closer than what the game felt like. Um, I'm just glad they put it significantly in doubt to where I could safely stop watching the game. That's first and foremost. Um, Listen, I said a lot about the running backs that Dallas decided to go with this year. Um,
Yeah.
and I saw a post. I can't remember who it's from, but I want to say it was the agent for Javante. Um, because it came off pretty smug, like, oh, so we just wrote off Javante Williams, right? And then he's listed in the top 5 in rushing in the league. Um, I will call myself out on it. I was out on Javante Williams. I was familiar with his game, but I also familiar with his injury history, which is why I was out on him. Um, he's in the top 5 in rushing yards. Great for him. Great bounce back. Great for Dallas. And not because of what he's producing, but because they got him on the cheap for what he's producing. So he is severely underpaid versus his production value. So kudos to them taking advantage of that injury history that I forementioned. But he's cooking right now. But while that's still the case, I wasn't wrong about Rico Dowdell in Carolina, who's also in the top 5 list in rushing for the
Yes.
Panthers. So I think they would have been fine either way. I think technically they may have made the right decision just because they are paying him far less than Rico's getting paid in Carolina. So maybe technically they're on the right end of that, but Rico's still having a really good season. Um Panthers have won 4 in a row. I don't know if you know that. I didn't know that I knew that until I looked up their record, and they sneakily have won 4 games in a row. Um, and I
Is it
really, really hope.
4-3?
I believe it's 4. Could be wrong on that. It might be 3. Might be 3. But 4 out of the last 5, which I mean, for them, just the mere fact that they're above 500 at this stage in the season is actually really good. Um, So I think that's surprising. I hope that Bryce is healthy for the game this weekend. Me personally,
Yeah.
I just really hope he's healthy because I think it gives them a shot to make it fun this weekend against Buffalo. And Buffalo is not exactly just running away with things right now, so I think they're catching them at a really really good time, to where they have an upset chance. But I don't love it if Dalton's the quarterback. So that's one thing that I noticed over the weekend. Um, Listen, I'm also hesitant to crown the Chiefs being back, but you've got to admit there's been a high uptick in scoring, and it happened a week before Rashee Rice got back in there. So you can count that as bad defense that they're playing against, but also just keep in mind, we haven't seen this team completely 100% healthy on the offensive side of the football. So I'm curious to see what happens with them moving forward, having access to all of their weapons. Um, I think it opens up their game a whole lot. Just even on the trust value, you can tell that Patrick's a lot more comfortable back there because he knows who he's throwing to and he knows exactly what each of these guys can do at their peak. So it's like we're starting to see a turn here, and if the Chargers aren't careful, it's gonna get very hot towards the end of this season. And yes, I did
Oh,
leave out Denver in that equation because they can suck me for what they did to this team this weekend.
well, so first of all, with Javonte Williams, listen, this drives me nuts, and I understand it. You got to say what you got to say, and I understand the game, okay, but it drives me nuts when people treat us like we don't think what we think for good reason.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know he's young and all that. I'll even call out like my Blue Jays. No one believed in us. It's like, yeah, man, no one believed in you. Of course, no one believed in you. Why would we believe in you? There's all these different examples that we can drum up of, like, nobody wanted to take a chance on me. It's like, yeah, of course not. What? Like, why would you? Of course, like, And don't get me wrong, man. Like, good on them. Like the production value. Like everyone said it, Joe. It wasn't just me. It wasn't just you. Everybody said it. The passing game. That's all the Cowboys have. They don't have a defense. They don't have a running game. All they have is just Dak throwing it to Lamb. That's it. And then Pickens comes in, and we didn't know what that was going to look like. Turns out it looks pretty good. So hey, man. I'm very happy for Williams. I'm just saying, like, don't treat us like we don't know what we see. Like,
I'm also very happy for his pocketbook in the offseason because he is on a 1-year prove-it deal. So,
oh yeah, no, 100%. When it comes to the Chiefs, man, I think like it's not that I'm not in on the Chiefs, or it's not like I don't believe. Like, it's the Chiefs, man. Like the reverse of what I just said, like about Williams is like history has proven to us that this team will more likely than not figure it out and get to the playoffs in a comfortable position, right? That's just the way that the Chiefs are. They started off, they had a really weird season last year. They just won all the games that like they've been losing this year. It really didn't look that much different. It's just like the scoreboard, right? And so all I'm saying is they blew out like that game against Detroit. That's a different conversation. That was a convincing win, and it was convincing in a lot of ways. You blow out the Raiders. I'm not here to give you flowers, like, you know what I mean? That's just kind of how I feel about it. And I mean, speaking of the Chargers, I mean, let's talk about that for a second. There were two quarterbacks that I talked about at the beginning of the season during the preview shows. One of them was Trevor Lawrence, and the other was Justin Herbert. And I talked about how I don't believe in either of these guys right now. I just don't. And Justin Herbert, who I think has more upside, to begin with, has had a terrific season. Not perfect. I thought he looked awesome Sunday. And that defense just couldn't get a stop to save their lives. You know what I mean? And to me, it's like that is encouraging for me. If you're talking just about Justin Herbert, on the other side, you got to find a way to get, and I know they have injuries and all that. But I mean, Trevor Lawrence, that's a whole different conversation. Some of the decisions that he made on Sunday, I just cannot understand from a professional quarterback. But I thought Justin Herbert looked really good Sunday. They just couldn't get a stop. That Colts, if you're not on the Colts bandwagon by now, I feel like that game has to tell you that this team is 100% for real. And what will that translate to come the postseason? I don't know. But come the regular season, man, that team, like, they're legit.
Yeah, they are super fun to watch. Like, just given what we've seen the last couple of years, um, uh, pretty much the revolving door they've had at the quarterback position since Andrew Luck's retired.
Yeah.
Um, to it was almost just inconceivable to think that of all the quarterbacks that have run through there since Andrew Luck's retired, the one that's getting them to a place that they've always wanted to go to since Peyton Manning's retired is Daniel Jones. Like,
Yeah.
it's just wild to think. When you put it in the context of who's coaching the team and how the offense is run, it makes a little bit more sense because this is a guy that has the skill set that would fit perfectly in a Steichen offense. If he has time, he'll be on time with the ball. That was something that just was never the case in New York because we could never figure out the offensive line. And by the time we could figure out the offensive line, he was just so broken being in New York. That was just no possible way for him to be who he wanted to be in that place. Just chalk it up to another place of, hey, change of scenery happens, and then all of a sudden they're in a system that works. It's happened with Mac Jones. It's happened with Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. You get these guys out of situations that have perpetually just brought them down, and you put them in a new environment, new, fresh feeling, fresh vibes, new location, rewrite themselves a little bit. And now they're all prospering in all different places. So kudos to him. But yeah, I mean, if you're not on the bandwagon with the Colts now, there's plenty of room on the bus with us. All right. I had the over on their wins. They're 6-1. You know what that means? 2 more, and I hit. So I'm feeling great, me personally, just because my faith is about to win me some money on them. Was it 6.5? I thought it was 7.5.
I thought it was
might have
6.5.
been. It might have been 7.5 on my book. But if it's 6.5, even better. Because that means next week, because we already know, like, it's the Titans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man.
The line is 14. We're hitting the over. We're hitting the over for sure.
Oh, yeah. And what I love about it, let me just see this. Like, and I understand a lot of it has to do with the division and all that. I'm just saying that considering the projection on this team preseason and considering where they are right now, they have the shortest odds to make the playoffs right now out of any team. They're minus 2,000. You have Buffalo's minus 1,500, Kansas City's minus 850, Detroit's minus 590, so are the Packers, and the Eagles are minus 520. Like, for the Indianapolis Colts, and again, the division, I understand. I'm just saying, like, for the Colts to be the shortest odds to make the playoffs is just terrific. And it's just a testament. Like, dude, like Danny Dimes Sunday, I think 288, a couple touchdowns. He just the decision making and like hitting guys in stride and just it just looks flawless out there for him right now, or effortless is the better word. And it's just fun to watch. And then you add the Jonathan Taylor aspect to this. He gets 3 touchdowns again. How many times has he hit 3 TDs so far this year? It has to be 3 at least, no?
I definitely remember one other time, so it's at the least 2 for sure. Um, but
Remarkable.
a crazy stat is that he has more touchdowns than some teams do completely as far as rushing touchdowns. So that just tells you the commitment that they have to also having a balanced offense, but also a testament to him as a player. Um, he's in locked in. We'll put it this way. He's locked in on this era, and he's really supplying Daniel with some great balance.
Yeah, and I mean, if you wanted to get them to win the division, the time has passed to get any sort of
Yeah.
value. That's minus 270 now. The Jags are plus 280, and then Houston plus 1400. So you took the over. We'll call it 6.5. We'll call it 6.5 to give you that extra, confirmation that it's going to happen. Although 2 more wins is just as likely. Let me find some good odds here. Let's play this game. Now, I haven't looked at their schedule. If you can pull it up or whatever it is. If we're talking minus money, over 11.5 wins is minus 145. The next total with plus money value is over 12.5 is plus 150. But over 11.5 is minus 145. That's the longest odds before we start hitting plus money.
You want to know why that is?
I want to know.
They have the Texans twice still, and they have both Jaguars games.
Oh, they haven't even played the Jags yet.
Nope.
Yeah.
So they're penciling in 4 already, and then they just have to win 2 of the rest.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're looking at that schedule right now, plus 150. Plus 150 over 12.5. You think this team's going 13-4? Incredible.
It might be worth a look. And I'm just saying that because the one thing that might give you hesitation is because 2 of those games against those teams are the last 2 games of the season.
Right.
And we don't know what their record is going to be heading into those games. I mean, AR might be playing 1 or 2 of those games. So we don't know what their seating looks like heading into those games. So we'll see. We'll see how much Danny plays in that last game, but though they still have those 4 games still left on the schedule, which is why those odds make sense.
Yeah. So as fun as there are, like, the positive stories are, we talked about the Colts. I touched on the Patriots before. I love, like, Stevenson had this, like, resurrection, like, the last game. I'm really impressed with that team, man. I think we both went under the number at the beginning of the season, and they just keep getting better and better. I'm super impressed just with how they carry themselves on both sides of the ball. I know it's the Titans, but I just think that this team is really just starting to figure out exactly who they are. Lots of positive stories when it comes to the Patriots. Like I said, like the Eagles, listen, man, the Eagles are just going to be weird until like week 13, 14, when they figure out exactly who they are for this season. And then they'll be fine. I'm not really concerned about it at all. But they beat Minnesota 28-22. But the biggest stories in the NFL,
everything to try to keep them in the game, to be honest with you. Defensively, it looked like they just did everything to keep them back in the game, which is a lot of the reason why you're seeing Brandon Graham coming back.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of which, man, dude, my guy BG, man, in modern day Eagles, and by modern day, I mean ever since Brian Dawkins retired, my favorite defensive player. I love BG. What's not to love about him? Just seems like the best dude. Terrific player. Of course, we all remember the strip sack in the Super Bowl on Tom Brady. I mean, as a football fan and an Eagles fan and a fan of him, I actually have a story. I won't get into all the details. I was going through a pretty tough time in my life back in COVID. There was a lot going on in my personal world, and someone had a connection to Brandon Graham, and he sent me like a 3-minute video. Just, I guess this person told him kind of what I was going through. I'm like getting emotional just talking about it. Told him kind of what I was going through, and he sent me a 3-minute video just kind of encouraging me or whatever, like a BG pep talk, man. And that was a cool moment in my life. So I'm really happy that he's coming back. He hasn't played football. Like, who knows what this is going to be? Like, I would assume he's a professional. I would assume that he wouldn't come back unless he knew that he could still play at the level that he played at. Part of me likes that he retired last year because he got hurt for a lot of the year, came back for the Super Bowl, and he
got hurt
left
again.
on top, right? He left on top. I don't want to see him kind of flame out, and that's how his career ends. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's a cool story. But listen, man, there's no way around it. You can pick the Jets or the Dolphins. What an absolute, like, to me, definitely like the Dolphins more than the Jets. But to me, we can talk about the positive stories all we want. Like we just said, the Colts, the Patriots, like the Chiefs kind of coming back to championship form. Of course, the Giants are in a negative section of this as well, but that's completely different than what's happening in Miami.
Yeah, we have hope. There's an absence of hope in those two places. A large absence of hope. Okay? I can rest assured that whether it's this coaching staff or the next coaching staff, we have a quarterback, we have a running back, and we have a number one wide receiver. And we've put enough money into that defense that with the right staff, we should cook very, very soon. And I look forward to that day. But these two teams have an absence of hope, okay? And I don't know who's more hopeless than the other, because the one like shining light or saving grace that we are supposed to have for the Dolphins is the fact they have a better quarterback. But quite frankly, by the way that McDaniel is looking on the sideline after the two last picks that Tua threw this weekend, I don't think he can confidently say that. I don't think he even believes that right now, which is crazy because of how bad Fields has been, that we actually have to sit and have a valid conversation over who's worse. Like, this is an actual thing.
Like, McDaniel basically said as much. Like, when a player can, I mean, listen, I can't say, like, remember verbatim what that guy said, because he speaks like he's like tripping balls every time he gets behind a microphone. But basically saying when a player continually like disappoints you and continually plays the way he's playing, you have to assess different players. And that's what we saw over the weekend. Like, dude, Tua's another one, man. Like, you've seen way more upside from Tua throughout the years than Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion. However, and I know the injuries and all that, that's a valid part of this conversation. Tua getting a max deal the way I guess not max. They can pay him whatever he wants, but to pay him that competitive contract made no sense to me. And I know you got to sign your players and you got to pay them and blah blah blah. But two is another one, man. I just don't understand. And to boot, as my mother would say, you call out your teammates 2 weeks ago. Then you say, or a week ago, was it? Then you say, oh, no, that was my mistake. That never happened. Then you play like that.
Did he say it never happens? I think he said that. He shouldn't have said it happened.
I misread the situation, and he basically walked it back, is basically what he did. And then he comes and plays like that. Like, I don't know, man. It's a gong show. And how that guy's not fired yet, like, I enjoy the comedy that is McDaniel. My wife, the only coach that she knows in the National Football League is Nick Sirianni, because I'm an Eagles fan. The other coach that she knows is McDaniel, because she just finds him hilarious. And that's my wife, who doesn't know anything about football. And that guy is like her favorite dude ever. I love it. But it's only fun when you're winning, and they're not winning. They're getting stomped on every single night. And dude, like the Browns have a good defense. They hold you to 6 points. Fine. You tip your cap. But 31-6 against the Browns, and you have a job? What are we doing?
Yeah, listen, what I will say about that particular game, definitely led with the running game on that. That was a Krishan Judkins show all day long. All Gabriel had to do was not lose the game, which he did by not turning the ball over. What's funny to me in this whole scenario is that several weeks ago, and I can't remember what week it was, but I did come on this show after one of those games where he threw multiple interceptions, and a reporter had asked him, basically, I can't remember verbatim what was said, but it was kind of like suggestively saying, like, when he turns the ball over, it usually happens in bunches, and it almost like he took offense to that comment, like that wasn't a true statement, even though he co-leads and probably now leads most games with more than 2 turnovers since he's been in the league. What did he do this weekend? Oh, he turned the ball over 3 times. So it's like, okay, great. You can be upset about the question, but you keep proving that particular stat fact. And guess what it was over the weekend? Again, fact. You turned the ball over, and when you turn it over, it's like the floodgates. You do it once, you're bound to do it 2 or 3 times. So, listen, I'm sure he's going through a lot of self-evaluation. One, as a leader in the locker room, as far as
I would
keeping
hope
things
so.
in the locker room, as far as you leading by example and not producing what you're producing on the field as a quote unquote leader in the locker room. So I think, listen, I thought for sure, this was the game. I said this before as far as McDaniel's tenure, when it should come to an end. I was waiting for a day that the offense was so absolutely terrible that it was inconceivable to bring this staff back to run it back again. And I thought for sure this was the game. How do you not, as an offensive minded coach, where the offense is literally your baby, your responsibility, this is why you got hired, your offensive prowess. After that, I don't know if they're factoring the fact that it was the Cleveland Browns, because their defense isn't exactly not to snore about, but at the same time, their record, right? So you're thinking to yourself, you probably shouldn't be losing by this much to that team because of their offense. I'm surprised he still has a job. I'm surprised he still has a job. I'm surprised that Greer still has a job. And I don't know if they're just waiting. I don't know if Ross is just waiting to the end of the season before he cleans complete house. But I'd be very surprised if these two are back next season, even if they're not fired in season.
I just don't know. Like, listen, we've talked about this, whether it's on this show, whether it's we're talking about hockey or anything. I've said this. I don't advocate for people to lose their jobs. I also think that in sports we pull the trigger like too quickly. A lot, especially in hockey, but that's been trickling into other sports as well. Basketball, we've seen that a lot over the last couple of years. I want coaches to have time to grow with the team, especially new coaches to grow with the team, to grow with their schemes. He's had that time. That time is gone. It's been what, 6 seasons?
They've been trending down since the Frostbite game.
Yes.
Everything has been downhill since that playoff loss on the road to the Chiefs.
Yes.
It's been downhill since then, with no sign of it coming up.
Tua was 19-7 last year, right? TD to picks. He's 11-10 right now. And so what I don't want to see, and didn't he make some sort of comment about, he's been working hard at turning the ball over or not turning the ball over or something a few weeks ago? And I'm pretty sure 8 of those 11 picks are in like the last 3 weeks or something.
3,
like
2,
outrageous.
2, 2, and 3. Excuse me.
Okay, 2, 2, and 3. Okay, so 7. So
I was looking at touchdowns. 3 each last week against the Chargers, and this past Sunday against the Browns. So 6 in the last 2 games.
In the last 2 weeks. I don't like the sign of a leader, because people, especially players, were talking about how he didn't like what he had to say about the player only meetings, right? And how like calling his teammates out for not coming to players only meetings, for showing up late or whatever. Players in the league who are retired, who are now in the media, were saying that they didn't like that, right? Who am I to dispute with people who played in the NFL? Okay. For me, someone who sits on their couch, I like that personally. I like the idea of the leader of your franchise calling players out and saying, listen, we got guys who are not on the bus right now. And if they don't get on the bus soon, nothing's going to change. I personally don't mind it. Again, I will always defer to the players who actually played on that field. But for me, I don't mind it. However, you can't then go out and throw 6 picks in 2 weeks and whatever the stats were, 12 for 23 with 100 yards. The other thing that I don't understand about this from a coaching perspective, and let me just pull this up again real quickly here. How did A-Chain get 13 attempts on 82 yards? 82 yards on 13 attempts. With the way that Tua was playing for some offensive guru mastermind, that guy should have been shoved down the Browns' throat. And I get it. Game script, thrown off, playing from behind, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Tua is throwing pumpkins on every... Not only that, he had no time to throw the ball. The whole thing with Tua was that he could throw the ball in 2.1 seconds or whatever it is. He didn't even have 1 second to get the ball off for most of the game. I don't know, man. It's just a disaster. I don't know.
I will say the beginning of that game was punt, field goal, and fumble. And the fumble wasn't even on the offensive possession. It was a fumbled kickoff that the Browns recovered, and they ended up scoring. And they scored 2 touchdowns off their field goal, and then the possession on the fumble, since it was literally right there after the fumble. So it's like they got taken out pretty early as far as their start. And that fumble was like what, midway through the second quarter. You're still 17-3. I'm not sure we're giving up on the run game at that point. But the complete third quarter was an abomination. It was the third and fourth quarters were an absolute abomination. First possession in the third quarter, interception. Then they had a punt, and then they had turnover on downs. By the turnover on downs, it was 24-6. Now at this point, we're passing every down, right? So what's he going to do? Obviously, he's going to feed the other team. If everybody on the field knows, so much so, there's clips. I don't know if you saw the clip through the interwebs, but there's a clip of Ronnie Hillman, defensive back on the Cleveland Browns, mic'd up for the game, literally saying, "Give me one, Tua. Give me one." Throws the pick right to Ronnie Hillman. Celebrates in the end zone. Literally called his shot. Straight up, Babe Ruth in the corner, calls his shot, tells Tua to give him the ball, and Tua gives him the ball. Like, come on, brother. Like, yeah, that audio is a microcosm of what it's like to watch Dolphins offense right now with Tua handling the ball the last couple of weeks. And you know what? The only reason why he's still on the field is because they don't have a guy that they drafted in the first round waiting for him. Because you know who did? The Falcons. And you know what happened to Kirk Cousins when he went through a stretch like this with the Falcons? They put him in the game. Penix was in the game. They could not continue to do this. Now, granted, they're in a different record. Okay. They still had aspirations to try to win the division because you know how the South is. If you're somewhere around 500, you got a chance because the winner of the division is probably going to be like 10-7 or 9-8. So different situation, obviously, but like you can't keep doing this. Like 6 interceptions in 2 weeks, and you're just going to keep running this back. We're just going to keep running this back. I'm not saying that Quinn Ewers is going to be better for you to win, but like that locker room, seeing 6 balls go to the other team, like, and then he's called out his team in public, but we're not even thinking about making a change. Like, just to send them, hey, get it together, bro. You're not above the team. We will bench you if you don't produce. Guess what? Yeah. He's not producing. You might want to think about it. I don't care if it's Quinn. I don't care if it's whoever it is. You got to think about sending that message that you're just not going to allow continuous non-production from the most important position on your team.
I'm curious to see how it goes because at least with like the Giants, you had Dart waiting. You also, so for Dable, like his only chance at keeping a job was being competitive with Dart. That was it. That was like, this is my Hail Mary. This is my last attempt to keep my job. With McDaniel, I don't know what that attempt is. Like, if he doesn't start Tua and they lose, but at least it's competitive, he's not going to keep his job. Like, this is done. This is over. Like, there's nothing to like salvage here. So maybe he just keeps throwing Tua out there or whatever. Complete side note, or not even, to me, it's not a side note. In reality, it probably is a side note. Why is nobody trying to get Jameis Winston? What am I missing? If you are a bad team and you need a quarterback, this guy is going to give you 300 yards, 3 picks, just like Tua, but he's going to get you 3 TDs as well. And he's going to pray for you before every game. What's to
and he
lose?
might win the press conference. Like even with the bad game, he might win the press conference. So I don't know. It just really depends on the team. I think it depends on where the team is in their situation. If they're so far gone where it doesn't really matter, a team that I would have thought would have made that call would have been the Bengals. And who's to say that they
Yeah.
didn't make that call? They might have made that call. Um,
Well, they got Flacco, right?
which in essence is a younger version, right? Because Flacco's also gonna give it to the other team, but he's also gonna throw it 40 something times and give you a shot at getting 300 yards. I think honestly, I think Winston's just a younger version of Flacco in the sense that he will give it to the other team, but he will also find your weapons and make use of them. Like he turned Jerry Jeudy into a number one last year while he was playing for the Browns. So
Oh, yeah.
like Cedric Tillman, guys like that, he was turning into like household names for the team. The only people that you could recognize on that team with the way that offense was playing. So he was making them into some names while he was out there. So I don't know. Knock on wood, there isn't another like a major injury of that ilk to a quarterback, but you got to figure that he's going to be in one of the handful of calls. But we only have 2 weeks left before the trade deadline. So I think it's November 7th. Someone could fact check me on that, but it's not far from now. Definitely trades are cooking, so we know we're getting close to that time. I'd be very surprised though if I'd be very surprised that by the end of the season we don't see a swap between Winston and Wilson as far as who's the emergency and who's the backup.
I'm
Because
surprised that hasn't happened already.
I was a little surprised that it hasn't happened already either, because I feel like Winston gives us the better chance to win if Dart goes down. Me personally, I don't know what goes on in practice, but the man hit a goalpost. The man hit a field goal post on the money from the sideline. Okay, so when it comes to accuracy, I feel like Jameis might have it, even if sometimes he throws it to the other team. Listen, his ball on ground rate is spectacular. Okay, his balls almost never hit the ground. Pause. But it's either going to our team or it's going to the other team, but it's not going to be incomplete. Okay.
I'll just say this. If you're the Giants, okay, and again, this is just my opinion. It means nothing. This is just how I would approach this. If you're the Giants and you're going where you're going, okay, this season has always been based or been kind of the theme of the season, and we talked about this beforehand, is like development, right? You want to see how this team progresses. If they miss the playoffs, you're not surprised. You expect it, but you want to see progress. You want to see movement forward, right?
Yeah.
If I'm the Giants, by all accounts, nobody likes Russell Wilson. Nobody. Right? You hear like ex-teammates talk about it. You hear like, if that's what this season is about now, like what's your record right now? I don't even remember. 3 and
I'm pretty sure we're 2-5. I'm pretty sure we're 2-5. Yes,
you're
we are 2-5.
Okay. So you're 2-5. You're putting up points every week. It's exciting games, regardless of the outcome, right? You're in every game now, right? I want Jameis on that sideline. I want his vibes. I want his energy. I want his positivity. I want that just.
I mean, he's still on the sidelines. He's just not one play away from getting in the game.
I know that, but I just want Russell gone completely. Like,
damn, you're not even a Giants fan, and you want him gone. That goes to your point. That goes to your point. Like, even people who don't root for the Giants are just like, why is he still QB2?
Yeah, dude,
like the whole entire stadium lost it when Dart had to go into the tent for that concussion or supposed concussion. the crowd lost it. They literally would take Tommy Cutlets off the other roster right now over Russell Wilson. Like there may be some people that are like, man, can we still get Tommy Cutlets back and then somehow just like drop Russ? Because I mean, he's gonna get his money. The money's guaranteed. He's getting his money regardless. So it's not gonna hurt your pockets if you release him now. I don't know if you're holding on to him for trade bait. I don't know what the deal is. But granted, quarterbacks get hurt all the time. It's a physical sport. It's bound to happen.
And I don't want to hear like it's a respect thing for what he's like. This isn't Aaron Rodgers. This isn't Tom Brady. This isn't Brett Favre. This isn't like, listen, Russell Wilson has had a great career, successful career. Okay. One Super Bowl, like whatever it was, like a minute away from 2 straight Super Bowls. The OG Russell Wilson, incredible player. But those days have been gone for so long, and it wasn't at the caliber of like, we're keeping him here as a respect to the veteran. No, I don't want none of that. This Giants team is nothing but good vibes, dude. Like Scatterboo and Dart, they're a like comedy sketch from the Chappelle Show. Like they're the
we never knew we needed.
It's incredible, dude. Like this team is
the Key and Peele. They're Key and Peele on this team.
Key and Peele. Okay, that's a better example. I want Jameis Winston with the pads on, and I know he does. You get my point, okay? Anyway, so this is the thing. This is the thing. We've been going on for an hour. We have some bets to get to. We might call an audible here on the fly, but before I make that decision, we got to talk about it. Denver Giants. I'll go first because as our Giants correspondent, I'm sure you have a lot to say. I'll speak from a Denver point of view. In the preseason, you know this, I was very high on the Broncos. And I still am high. I'm not as high as I was. I mean, listen, man, like if you watch every single Broncos game, except you forget the final score of the games. You know what I mean? Like you watch all the games, you remember all the games, you remember all the moments, but you forget like, oh yeah, who won? Would you really think that the Broncos were 5-2? Like, I don't really think that they've played like a 5-2 team. I think it's been the most up and down, turbulent 5-2. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just been whatever. But what I will say is, Bo Nix scares me for 2 reasons and 2 different versions of scared. The first scared is he sucks for 3 quarters way too often and then comes alive in the 4th quarter and puts up 1,000,000 points. He did it to the Eagles a few weeks ago. He did it to the Giants this week, and I'm pretty sure he did it one other time at least. I can't remember off the top of my head. But he's a young quarterback, lots of room to grow, 2nd season. So while I hate the fact that he seems to routinely forget how to play football for 3 quarters and then wake up like the Undertaker and go win a ball game, that terrifies me in the negative sense. But I also love it because a kid in his 2nd season can score 33 points in 1 quarter and say, we're going to win this ball game. Like, we're going to find a way to win this ball game. And I'm here for it, man. I don't know what that means, okay? I don't know what that means for the rest of the season. I don't know what it means for the playoffs. Just that dog in you to twice in the span of 3 weeks to be able to be down by double digits with like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter and find a way to get your team the win is just really impressive to me for a young
double
player.
digits, double digits. I can survive. 10, maybe 14,
Yeah.
maybe even
Yeah.
17. They were down 33 points. Okay? That's not okay. That is not okay. Okay?
Yeah.
That is not all right.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. That's so true. I know. I say double digits like casually,
Like it was 10. Like, you know, it was like 2 possessions. You know, it's like, oh, yeah, they were down 2 possessions. They may have. No, they were down 33 points. People left. People left the game because they thought it was over. Okay?
traffic.
Yeah. They
I
were
got
trying to get
kids,
out.
and they're leaving.
They're listening to the radio, their local radio station, talking about the comeback, and they're speeding around to get back into the stadium.
So that's my like Denver side of this is regardless if they win or lose that game, they're still going to be in the mix for the playoffs. But just seeing that from like the kid, I just really appreciate the will to survive. And that speaks to what I think this kid can be long term. Like that's something inside of you. That's something that's like a part of you and your character. And that's encouraging for me, not just for this year, but for beyond. Now, if you're the New York Giants, talk to me, Joe. Because that was just incredible, for lack of a better word.
Here's the thing, and I'll take it a step further with your praise of the Broncos. They're maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 possessions from being 7-0. Remember, their 2 combined losses are of a total of 4 points, and one of them was off a penalty you disagreed with that the Colts ended up benefiting from.
Yep.
So if you add that all together, they very well, in another universe where those plays go in their favor, be 7-0 right now. Now, pivoting to my team. The mentality around our team, I believe, has changed in the sense of where we think we're going for this season. And I use just one transaction this week that proves my point on that. Now, there was a lot of rumors, a lot of scuttlebutt regarding us trying to go big game hunting for, say, a Chris Olave or, say, a Jalen Waddle, and who knows what the price tags were on those. But the transaction that I saw on my portal today was adding Ray McLeod to our practice squad, who would almost certainly be promoted to the actual squad because we are absent a whole lot of bodies on our wide receiver core. Now is that just because he's a young talent that got released off a team and we didn't have to pay any assets to get him? Possibly. But it's not the big game hunting that we thought. And I think that had we won the game like we were supposed to against the Broncos, and we're looking at a 3-4 record as opposed to a 2-5 record, maybe we're willing to break the bank a little more to get one of those big names. So for me, I'm like little damper on my thing, right? The little sour puss on my thing, because now I have to just resolve I have to resolve myself into thinking, okay, we're probably shooting for like 6-11, top 10 pick. We're gonna clean house, and we're gonna start this whole new thing with a new coaching staff, hopefully a new GM room, and 3 guys at the core of our offense and defense who I think can be the cornerstones of the new regime whenever it gets here. I really wanted to be 3-4. I wanted to be 3-4 and get a guy like Waddle or get a guy like Rashid from the Saints so that we could try to make a push this year. But if they're not willing to pull the trigger on that because we're 2-5, totally get it. Totally get it. Because at this point, our margin for error is now even smaller. Because 10-7 from 2-5 is a impossibility as far as I'm concerned. Especially with Malik Neighbors out. So there's really no sense in selling out for this season if we don't really have like that much of a margin. 3-4, you can sell it. 2-5, you're looking at you can only lose 2 of your next 10 games. Really? So let's not even. But yeah, that's how I feel about my Giants. I think our secondary is void of any star super talent. I will say that if Deonte Banks is on this team after the trade deadline, I want Joe Shane gone. If we don't win at least 6 games this season, I want Brian to go with him. And that's just where I'm at with my team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, like you're trying to like gain momentum for the future. I don't always like players having a say in big decisions. Of course, superstar players have a say if you're I know I already used this example, but if you're Aaron Rodgers, if you're if you're like LeBron James and Michael Jordan and Steph Curry, and
you have the cachet.
If you're those players,
yeah,
yes, Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. But if you're Jackson Dart, I don't love that idea. However, if you really believe that this kid is your future, your eggs are in his basket, and this is like, we believe this is our guy. I want to know, honestly, me, him, close the door. What do you want with this coach? Like, say the word, man. Like, you want him, he stays. You don't, he goes. Like, I think that I don't know if that's, I don't know. Maybe that's too much credit, but I just think that, like, I don't know. That's how I think
if they decide to move on, they'll ask him. But the decision to move on or not, I don't think they'll.
That's fair.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Fair.
In their exit interviews and all of that, though, like if they let's just say hypothetically speaking, if they just run this duo all the way to the end of the season and they make their decisions afterwards, they'll ask for his input, but they're not going to 100% base their decision. Like the owner, Mara's already given the mandate that these two guys are on the clock. As far as you need a producer, you're gone type deals. So I'm expecting anything absent 9-8, where it shows a massive improvement and they're over 500, that one, if not both of them, will be gone. That because he's already set that mandate. Like, hey, producer, you're gone type deal. I'm not going to wait forever. So in that scenario, yeah, in your exit interview with them, absolutely. You'll ask them, and how did you feel about the season? How did you feel about your coaching? Do you feel like you've developed from the preseason till now? All those deals, and then for sure take it into consideration. But I think what's more likely to happen is they'll make the decision and then ask for his input, like when they're making their searches or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Due to the late start, we got to wrap it up. We do have typically our betting segment. We will bring bets to you before Sunday on some level. We'll see if maybe Joe and I come back for 20 minutes over the weekend, or we'll figure something out. But yeah, due to the late start, I have a wife who needs children bathed in my phone. I gotta be a parent, Joe. So we're gonna take off. Thank you to everybody for hanging out and for watching. We appreciate it so much. First Round Collectibles, promo code sports10 for up to 60% off, and Total Apex Sports and Total Apex Media. Stay glued to Solid on Sports on Twitter for the announcement. We will be back this weekend to give you our favorite bets for the weekend. Until then, see you next time.